Hello, ladies and gentlemen, to the 720 System Strategy Call for May 2026. Jenny Doling, our President-elect at NACBA. I asked to be on this call to talk about the post-NACBA conference takeaways. AI, and specifically how every size firm should use AI in their practice.
It's all we hear about right now, right?
I know.
But honestly, as a small firm or a solo firm, which most of our consumer bankruptcy bar is, this is where we can make up that difference in our practices. I've been obsessed with this lately. I'm on Claude. I usually go home, my kids are all grown and everything, so I can go home and mess around with this for a couple hours every night, building my systems. AI is not about eliminating staff. It is about being able to grow with it. And that is how I'm using it in my practice. We are streamlining things. We are automating everything. Things that used to take an hour to open a file and do, all the letters and the retainer agreements and all of that is taking 5 minutes. And that frees up my staff to do other things. I cannot take on more clients without hiring more staff. And I want that to flip. I want to flip the script on that, at least in my firm. I want to see that we are as efficient and as effective as possible, because when you max out efficiency and your effectiveness, you are increasing profits. It's just
Absolutely.
happens.
So let's talk about in your staff, right? Like what you're doing very practically with AI in your practice. So when you say, give us a few examples on that.
Okay. The biggest one that we've done, which I think everybody needs to do, is a naming convention. So when you're going to name your client documents and, it takes your paralegal or your intern or whatever, an hour to name all of these documents and reject the blurred copies and get them turned the right direction and all of that, that takes time. You can do that with AI. We built a skill in Claude. It didn't take very long, where it will go in and it will rename all of the documents for us. There's no more time wasted on that. That's huge. We can all go in and see exactly which document we need to pull, which one I need to send to the trustee right off the bat without even having to open the document. And I think that's really important. And you can set it up whatever way you name your documents in your practice.
So is this connected to sort of like a Google Drive where Claude goes directly in?
I use OneDrive. That was another thing I did about a year ago, is I went lean and mean. I looked at what systems do we have that we can use without spending extra money on some third-party software. And I really encourage everybody to look at what the tools are that they have. We're an MS365 office, so we switched off of NetDocuments, which I think is a really powerful, great software tool, but it's super expensive. The more you store on NetDocuments, the more you're paying.
Mm-hmm.
And we pulled everything off NetDocuments and went to OneDrive. We get it with our package. I didn't have to pay extra for it. We're not even anywhere near using our capacity limit on OneDrive yet. And I've got 20 years of stuff on there.
So with Claude and the renaming, so you have a file Jane Doe, for example, and you built a skill with Claude, which is an AI that most people know, but in case they don't, to go in and you put all the documents in there and Claude renames it based on what's in the existing documents?
Yeah. So what we do is it's set up to copy that folder, because you never want to lose anything. So it copies that folder. You can have it restricted to a peek where Adobe peeks at it, not Claude, to see what the actual first page of that document is. So it can be like Wells Fargo bank statement and the last 4 digits of that bank statement. It comes back out and names it that. That alone is such a huge time saver right off the bat.
Who came up with that? How'd you come up with that? Just
I didn't. Who came up with that was Tara Salinas.
Oh,
she's my, AI buddy.
Yeah.
We're constantly texting and emailing each
So
other
great.
like, hey, guess what we have it doing now?
Yeah.
So I think really sitting down with your staff, not assuming you know what they do, sit down with them and ask them, where's your pain points? What is wasting your time every day? What is the bane of your existence that you wish you could get rid of? And then figure out how you can build a skill in Claude or ChatGPT. I started with GPT and moved to Claude. I'm in co-work on Claude. I am paying for the max plan now, individual plan. And I'm the only one that's actually got that on my system
Mhm.
right now with the office. I haven't branched it out to the staff. So they will log in under me to do these certain skills. It's limitless what you can think of to use it for.
Do you have another
Um,
idea, another practical thing you do in the office?
it's not really practical on my staff side, but it helped me understand the finances of my office because I'm really big on profitability. So I've had this spreadsheet I've been building since 2019, and we list when the client has a consultation, when they retain, when they are paid in full, and when we file their case and when we close their case. So we've got those 5 dates built into that. I took that and I removed the names and I uploaded it to Claude and I said, analyze this. This is my client base in my firm. The reports I got out of there were unbelievably helpful. It
Mhm.
told me what months are my slow months. And it was right. I always know my slowest month is August. I always have attributed that to kids going back to school and parents having to pay supplies and school clothes. Who knows if that's the truth, but
Yeah.
or the end of the vacation where everybody's blown all their money on vacations and there's nothing left by August. So understanding those flow areas in my practice, understanding the busiest months, obviously tax refund season, but also understanding how long is it really taking my client from the time they have a consultation to the time they close the case. It's told me my retention rate. It told me profitability rate, how much those longer cases that you let linger a little longer than you should are costing you.
Yeah.
That report alone was so helpful. We actually were doing better than I thought we were on
Mm.
some of that. And so that allowed me to kind of look at, okay, here's where we're having a problem. Maybe we need to do another touch with a potential client. We shouldn't just drop off after 6 months, send them one last thing saying, hey, here's our recent blog. If you're experiencing trouble still, we're happy to help you. Not a pressure thing, but giving them some helpful information to do another touch point with that potential client who is maybe, still lingering. I still say, and I've done this if you've ever seen any of my NACBA profitability webinars at NACBA week every January, one of the things that is the biggest driver of business for me is my non-engagement letter. So they have a consultation with me. I do a consultation follow-up letter with a written fee quote to them. If they have not hired in 6 weeks, we send them a non-engagement letter. That non-engagement letter, I get so many retainers off of, and it's such a simple thing. It's email. I'm not actually mailing those anymore, so there's really no cost to it. And they say, please don't close it. We're sorry, we were getting ready to hire you, kind of thing. It pushes them, and I cannot stress enough how important that non-engagement letter is. Not only to generate business, but to also have a definitive cutoff that you're not their lawyer for malpractice purposes.
Got
So
That's
the
great.
AI report was unreal to me about my profitability. NACBA is on the cutting edge of doing this AI education. We need to bring consumer bankruptcy attorneys up to speed, and we want to be the source that you go to for that information because nobody else knows bankruptcy. We're a weird area of
Mm.
practice, right? I mean, Clio works, but it doesn't kind of work for bankruptcy attorneys. You've got that whole kind of weird area. Some other things that we've done with AI in our practice, that's all the automated workflows, from having all of our documents all set up. And we just have to open them in Clio and it launches this and it opens it in Word. It opens it in OneDrive. Prepares the retainer documents in one workflow. Those are the kinds of things that we've got to have built.
Well, and not only that, it's like because when we rely on staff get sick, they go on vacation,
Yeah.
and then it's like the lift of getting caught up, right?
Yeah.
It just
Or
doesn't work. It just
it doesn't work. The other things that I'm building on for me, I mean, I can do a lot for staff, but I can't even find an associate to hire because all the tall building lawyers are getting them, sucking them right out of the law schools right
Mhm.
now. For me, I have built several skills in Claude where it's every single trustee files an objection in every single Chapter 13 case. That is their MO, and we have to respond to it, right? So I've built a plan objection opposition drafter. And so I put in our local rules. I put in the top, 1325 cases in the Ninth Circuit. into that, I put in 5 samples of the trustees' objections and 5 samples of my oppositions to those. And so what I do is I take the docket report for the case that I'm in. So nothing's private in that. I throw that into the specific one that I'm running that skill on, and it does the procedural history for me, already in there. It sets up all the normal, regular opposition arguments to what the trustees arguing. And it's all set up. All I need to now do is go in and tweak it for that specific case. All the other hard, like take time, waste my time stuff is done. And I've done the same thing for my 522Fs. I've done the same thing for motion to compel abandonment. I'm starting to build those so that literally I can run through a motion and be done in, 10 to 30 minutes, depending on how difficult it is.
As opposed to training somebody new,
Yes.
hiring, and
Yes.
hoping they don't walk out the door and become your competitor
Right.
in 3
It
years.
really is. You've got to build stuff for you.